Hi there, my name's Marnie Melrose. And that little dog down there, that's Snuggy. She decided that she is going to be in our show today. So, what I'm going to talk about today is basically how accepting Bitcoins can help you to save money. But not only that, it can actually help you to help your customers protect their identity. So, what do I mean by that? Let's talk about what happens when somebody gives you a credit card and the basic things that happen behind that as that payment method gets into your bank account. Okay? So, when somebody wants to pay you by credit card, either they're in front of you directly or they're on your website, and what they do that people like myself and Bitcoin think is absolutely crazy is they give you everything that you need, or a quote unquote man in the middle, a bad guy, to take their money and spend it. That's a little crazy, don't you think? You know, they give you all of their credit card information, right? They give you the expiry date. They give you the 3 letters on the back. They give you the name that's on the card, and they give you the billing address. And so now, in you accepting that, it's your responsibility to protect their identity. Now, here's something that you may not be familiar with, or actually you will be if you're accepting credit cards online. So, April 8th is a deadline that's coming up with regards to PCI compliance. So, if you are accepting credit cards, you know what PCI compliance is. It's basically the way that you protect your customer's identity. And either you're doing it directly or you're having a service do it. For instance, in my traditional website, we had a service doing it, which was Authorize.net through their customer information manager. So they were handling all of it. But a few years ago, before we switched to that, we had a hosting provider. Modular Merchant was the company there, and we had to pay an extra $250 a year for PCI compliance. And what's coming up on April 8th is that Microsoft Windows is no longer supporting Windows XP. So what that means is that any of those old servers that are, or those old computers that are running Windows XP will not be compliant after April 8th. So make sure, if you are handling your PCI compliance, make sure that you upgrade by April 8th, okay? Step number 1. Okay, PCI compliance out of the way. You have to protect your customer's identity. Let's assume that you have done so and you've paid the extra cost of having to protect their identity. However, wouldn't it be nice if you didn't even have to deal with any of that? You did not have to protect their identity because they weren't giving you any identity that was going to threaten them in the first place. So you could turn that around by accepting Bitcoin, and the transaction happens a little bit differently. Instead of them giving you their credit card and everything they need to spend their money, for you to spend their money, and hopefully you only spend as much as you said they would, you know, it's a great leap of faith that they're giving you there. And if you're a great company, then you're going to do exactly that, just as much as you agreed to. But there are bad companies out there, right? So that's why we have PCI compliance. But anyways, so in a Bitcoin transaction, which is a little bit different, you are going to show them your QR code or your Bitcoin address for them to pay you. And then what they are going to do is they are going to send their money to you. So I have a little app here on my Android, and I carry around an iPhone because I love my iPhone, right? But I am not very happy with them that they don't have an active Bitcoin wallet on it. So I have to carry around an Android and Nexus 7, which is great, actually. I don't mind it at all. So I can use that. So let me show you what one of those QR codes looks like as an example. And in this example, what I'm showing you is the blockchain merchant app. Okay, so I'm starting it up here on my Nexus, right? And I'm going to put amount in, let's say $15, done. And there's the QR code if you wanted to pay me, okay? So that's you. You're the merchant, and you show up your QR code, and they simply send you money. Ta-da! Sweet! You've got money. But they send it to you without you having the ability to reach in and grab any more money than they authorized. It's just you don't have the private keys to spend their money anymore. So this is a way that you can actually help your customers to protect their identity, which I think is awesome. Why wouldn't you want to give that to your customers, right? So that's point number one. Point number two, though, that's really exciting is for you. And that is, if you accept Bitcoin, you can actually save on those processing charges. And if you look in my Twitter feed, you'll see that there's I'm Midas Marni, MIDASMARNI on Twitter, and you'll notice that I've posted there and also on my website a great document by Goldman Sachs, a great graphic that shows you all of the different layers that go into a credit card transaction. And a lot of those layers are simplified with Bitcoin, okay? We're not going to go into the technicalities of Bitcoin or anything like that today because there's plenty of other people on this network and plenty of other people out there who are just aching to tell you about the technicalities. Me, I'm a business person, and I'm just trying to, and an educator. And just like you, right? Small business person, I want to accept Bitcoins, and I just want to make it easy for you and practical, teach you how to do it, okay? So we're assuming that you're all on board with Bitcoin and you want to accept it, okay? So that's what we're assuming in this scenario. So in a normal credit card transaction, they Visa, MasterCard, whoever you're using as your merchant provider, they're going to charge you anywhere from 2.5% to 5% depending on your relationship with them, even if you're a charity. Lots of people don't even realize that charities actually have to pay their credit card merchants. Very few will do it gratis. So that's another thing to be aware of. I found out the other day, actually on my merchant account, that when I was researching an article for Bitcoin and charities, that I was actually paying less because of my history than one of the charities that I was looking up the information for. And I thought, well, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? But be that as it may, that's the world in Visa credit card transaction, American Express, okay? So, anyways, they clear the transaction, and in 3 to 5 business days, sometimes faster, it will actually be in your credit, in your bank account, right? So, a Bitcoin transaction is really not that much different, actually. Like I said, there's a couple of different ways that we can do it. So, number one, let's talk about that you're brand new to Bitcoin and you're still a little bit scared about it. You'd like to be able to offer it as a payment method, but the volatility of the market's making you a little bit shy, okay? So let's talk about option number one. Option number one, and these aren't all of the options. We only have another like 10 minutes of this show today. So I'm just going over a couple of the options for you. And we have upcoming courses coming up on udemy.com. You'll see the information down below after the show on that, and you can get more information there about how to do all of this. But today we're just talking about how theoretically you would set things up, okay? So number one is if you're in the United States. I'm in the United States, so most of what I talk about applies to you in the United States. Okay, And in the United States, you can go to Coinbase.com. That's spelled Coinbase.com. Go there and you can sign up for an account. Okay? And what they have done, which is pretty darn cool, is that they have made it so that the first $1 million that you do in transactions, they are not charging their 1% fee, which I think is pretty darn cool. You know, way to go, Coinbase. That's really giving back to the Bitcoin community to, you know, help get it started off. So in that scenario, you can sign up, and what they'll do is they'll check your identity, okay? Because this is a fully, you know, compliant company that wants to make sure that they have you know, follow all rules and regulations. So they need to know their customer, right, with regards to moving money and all that fun stuff. So nothing shady there, right? So they're going to check your identity, and they're going to make a couple of deposits into your bank account and your business bank account that you want to hook up with it, okay? And then you're going to verify those transactions to make sure that you actually own that bank account. And that's very similar to if you've ever used PayPal. They did that with you if you ever set up a PayPal account, okay? Very same sort of scenario that goes on there. So why I mentioned Coinbase first is because they offer you the opportunity to do what is called a sweep, okay? So what will happen is that they will basically take the money. So let's say that you charge, you know, $200 or $2,000. Doesn't matter. When you make that, the customer makes that payment to you. At the end of the evening, within 24 hours, that is flushed into your, and the process takes about 4 days to actually get into your bank account, but it's flushed out of your Coinbase account, okay, into US dollars immediately, okay? So you're not interacting with the volatility of Bitcoin at all in that scenario. It's simply flushed into your bank account. Ta-da! Yay. Okay? And they also have a nice little app on the Android here. So in addition to that, so just like this one, you can have your Coinbase account and you can request money right here, just like the other one if you're in person. So we go request money and QR code, and boom, you show your customer that, and they use their Bitcoin wallet either on their Android phone, or I actually have the old blockchain account, so I can do it from my iPhone, but I carry this around just in case it ever stops working. So, and they pay you directly there. So you can do that in person, or you can set that up with your WordPress website. And that's actually what we have running on our website. We use WooCommerce, and we use the Coinbase. And it's wonderful. I've had nothing but great experiences with it. Now, if you're a little bit more adventurous, you can have Coinbase keep a certain amount in reserve, quote unquote, in your Coinbase account. So in other words, you don't flush everything into your US dollar account, and you keep some in Coinbase. So that's an option that's available. And now I mentioned blockchain. So blockchain, same thing. They have an app on the Android. You can, you know, type in the amount, show it to the customer, or you can also with a plugin for WordPress, you can, you know, have that integrated in your WordPress account. Now, the difference between blockchain and Coinbase is that with blockchain, you would basically keep the money in Bitcoin. So if you're interested in that, just use the blockchain, and that will keep your money in Bitcoin, and you'll stay in Bitcoin, okay? And if you want to flush your money, probably Coinbase is another option, because Coinbase is a full exchange, okay? So those are a couple of different methods that you can use for accepting Bitcoins and helping your customers to protect their identity and preserve their identity and not give out their credit card information anymore and save you money. Oh, by the way, blockchain doesn't charge anything except, of course, the transaction fee. So that transaction fee, I think at this time, you want to double check because it's changing all the time. But the last time that I noted it, it was a half a cent for a transaction. So no matter how big that transaction is, and this is the neat thing, whether that transaction is 10 cents or whether that transaction is $10,000, the transaction cost, the hard cost, when you're just staying in Bitcoin is half a cent. Woohoo! Not even 1% or anything. So that's awesome. You get to keep all of the money, but it stays in Bitcoin if you're using blockchain, unless you take it out into an exchange to change it into US dollars. Okay? So I hope that has given you an idea of some of the things that you can do with regards to accepting Bitcoins as a small business and helping your customers. And I encourage you to visit me on Twitter, MidasMarnie.com. I'm also very, very active on Google+, probably more so than Twitter, although I do pay attention to Twitter, but I talk a lot more on Google+, just because it's so rich, I can actually have a full conversation. And so I have some courses on Udemy right now. They're not Bitcoin related, but they are productivity related. So if you search Marnie Melrose on Udemy, and that's spelled udemy.com. And you can also follow me there for some upcoming courses. And our first course that's coming up is how to protect your identity and save money with Bitcoin. In that course, we're going to be talking about how a user, a consumer, okay, could protect their identity by paying in Bitcoin rather than paying with a credit card, and also teaching them how to set up a basic wallet and how to secure themselves, because a lot of people really don't understand how to secure their computers in the first place. Of course, I use Mac, so this is going to be very Macintosh related. So if you use a Mac and you know somebody who doesn't know very much about computers, send them my way up onto udemy.com. We will educate them and help them understand how to get started. And then we're going to have other courses coming along, as a matter of fact, just about this that we talked about today, which was getting your website set up with accepting Bitcoins. And we'll go into that a lot deeper in a lot of different payment methods, not just blockchain and Coinbase like we did today, but we'll also add Bitcoin in there. So I hope you really got a lot out of this show today. And I look forward to helping you learn more about Bitcoin as time goes by. Hit me up on Twitter and have a great day.